Hello, guys, and welcome back to the Nerd to Movie Podcast. I'm back. No one's gonna say welcome back. All right, fuck you.
Welcome back, buddy.
Good
to see you again.
To the Nerd to Movie Podcast. I haven't been on an episode in what seems like 5 years.
In
but
6
I'm back.
days.
But it's all that charity you do for all those less fortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, it is really nice of Lewis to sacrifice his holiday time to go to Uganda to build Mormon churches for all the Ugandans. It was wonderful of him to do that.
What's that Michael Jordan meme of like, fuck them kids?
Why are you gay? That comes up a lot. Have you seen that meme video? It's literally like isn't his title like professor of that sort of shit? He's just like, you are gay. Why are you gay?
And she's just like,
yeah, it's like, what the fuck? What the hell? This is a weird version, the weirdest version of Maury I've ever been on.
Why are you
so ridiculous.
Anyways, no, I was gonna say something I shouldn't.
I know where you're going.
We are talking about the Matrix today. Two Matrix films. I guess the bookends. We're talking about The Matrix, the 1999 smash science fiction hit.
What?
And Matrix Revolution, or is it The Matrix Revolution?
Resurrections.
Resurrections.
Revolutions was the other shitty one that came before it, but it wasn't half as bad as this shitty one.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this now, it's probably not available for free on HBO Max.
No.
And that's fine. That's totally fine.
You don't
just
even
wait for
want
it to come back.
Yeah,
it's bad.
Yeah,
it should have never been made.
So this
what are you fucking a Beatles? Should have never been made.
I
don't know
agree.
what happened.
So for the listeners that have been with us for quite a while, this won't be a regular review. This will kind of be an extended retrospective of both movies.
Retrospective.
Yeah, I can't. It's almost 11 o'clock where I am at. But yeah, so before we jump in,
As opposed to where we're at, I'm confused.
well, I know to the listener who's listening to this in the future.
Yes, for all you assholes on the East Coast or the Pacific time.
When Skynet has taken over.
Ziggy, what time is it in California?
No. No, before we jump into it, I don't know if you guys are still doing it, but I was gonna say, what have you guys been watching? I know for me, I was talking with Giovannius last week. There's a show on Netflix that came out called Archive 81, which I found.
Is it a live show or an anime?
No, it's a live show.
No, it's a show.
It's also a podcast.
What is it about?
I'm on episode 7. There's only one left, and I don't know.
Okay.
It's about a guy who is brought on by another guy who asks him to look for a girl on these tapes, and he uses his guy friend.
I was just trying to be very. No, yeah. So it's one of those shows where it's a mind fuck, and it's very like sci-fi horror. And the show is like, all right, at the end of this episode, we're gonna answer one of your questions and give you 10 more. And
so it's scripted.
Yeah. No,
okay.
It's not like a
okay.
Yeah. No, it's really good. And if you're gonna watch it and you're into horror stuff, I would just not look up any trailers.
I do have interest because I know you guys have been talking about it.
It's really well done. And if you have time, Archive 81, the podcast is really well too. Really well done. And it goes past the first season of the show. So you can get the further
watch
details
that
of the
after
story.
You listen to this episode and every other episode of our podcast, though. And then you can move on to another one.
Some other quick fire movies I've watched. Antlers, which you boys
I haven't watched yet.
Voodoo.
Okay.
It's out there.
Great movie. Also, does anyone remember The Fourth Kind?
Yes, that terrible movie.
Mila Jovovich.
Yeah, that was supposed to be real footage, and then it was like, there's nothing real about this.
Yeah.
Does anyone remember a movie even worse than that called Darkness Falls?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I've been going down a bad rabbit hole.
Yeah.
What else?
Next up, Ginger Dead Man.
Honestly,
We
that's
can't
probably
say
it.
that here.
I've been watching a lot of the same horror movies, but yeah, there were a couple new ones. Oh, the new Escape Room. I don't know if you
I want to
guys.
watch that. It looks. How is it?
The first one's good. The second one's pretty bad.
Okay,
But
Okay.
I
But-
do like
but
if they
bigger
keep-
budget.
Yeah, yeah. It could be like this generation's like Saw though if they keep going on with it.
Makes sense.
Mm,
Or
Um,
Cube.
Other than that though, I've been running through, or I restarted and I'm going through all of Vikings because I'm dying for the new Netflix spin-off to come out,
Okay,
which I
I
think
would-
is in February.
I was just thinking about this the other day. How come the girl, like I don't remember her name, but she was in Woo's Assassins as well. But the wife, what's the main character's name? He's married to
I don't know her name.
but the blonde woman. Though she's
yeah.
been in it from the beginning. How come she's never in contention for like the actresses over 40 that are still great looking? Because she's like 43.
Oh, she's
Like
amazing.
everybody talks about like J-Lo and shit, and she's gorgeous and she's not young, and you never see her in like contention for any of that bullshit. 'Cause she really is. She is a stunning woman.
Yeah, she's badass.
Yeah, and she's a legitimate black belt. She's a former fucking bodyguard.
Holy
I
shit!
did not know.
Yeah,
wow.
yeah. She's not like she's legit.
And then last thing I rewatched Candyman, the new one, which is also on Vudu. You guys need to check it out. Oh, and Old by M. Night Shyamalan.
How was that?
It was an M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Shamalama-ding dong.
Yep.
For what it is.
See, for me, it's no longer about the horror. It's about the suspense and the suspension of reality while also being real to form. What the fuck are you talking about? Make a good fucking movie again.
but I don't know what about you guys?
I'll go. Archive 81, really well done. I've been continuing my adventure of Japanese horror films. I'm getting into some real obscure ones now. Clearly, ones where the budget is not so kind, but the story's still really good. So I'm getting into those. And then I don't know if we mentioned it on an episode before, Matt, but we have a project TV show we're going through. So I've been watching Rescue Me, which is really well done. More on that later. I don't know. Have we ever mentioned the other project on that episode?
No, not
Yeah.
yet.
Not yet.
No,
Surprise,
isn't this
motherfuckers!
the first episode? No, we may have been the last
We talked
episode.
about last episode.
Yeah.
Last
with the three
time.
of
Last
us.
time. When Anthony was trying to break the world record. That's right.
Have any of you guys seen the trailer for All of Us Are Dead?
I
saw
heard
it.
about it.
I
I
don't
did
think
not
I've
see
seen
it
the
though.
trailer. Does it look cool?
Looks crazy. It's a Korean zombie show coming out on Netflix.
Oh shit.
And it's got like a very like happy-go-lucky feel, and then the trailer just gets really fucking bonkers.
All right, I gotta watch the trailer now. Alex, you want to go?
Yeah, sure. I started watching It's Always Sunny.
Nice.
Really?
Yeah.
Had you watched it before or no?
No,
Oh, it's
So good.
the very first episode, or
The
was the
gang
second
gets
episode?
racist.
Yeah, that shit could not be fucking made today. None of that shit.
Well, no, that's not true. I mean, once you get up to the newest seasons,
Yeah, so
They're
they're
still
still
pushing the
pushing
envelope?
shit, dude.
The
They're not
crazy
fucking
thing
around
with-
with it.
It's Always Sunny is they never turn the dial back. They like every episode. is
Well,
just
no,
like-
I mean not only that, but now that like basic cable is allowing fuck and everything on it, like
Yeah.
there's an episode where they make you think they're gonna say fuck the whole episode, and then they don't, and then at the end of the episode they rapid fire several cunts in a row, like
Nice.
just out of the fucking blue. Like they still are like not like on season 9. One of the I think one of the last episodes is they're talking to like one of these like focus group people, and it's just like the goddamn PC fucking people have ruined Hollywood. Frank goes on like, yeah, no, they are not relenting. They are still hard as fucking nails in that regard. I give them props for that.
Which is awesome, yeah.
Shay and I will constantly call each other. We'll say, "D, you stupid bitch."
Do you goddamn bitch?
So I started that one. I'm continuing with Rescue Me, of course, like we're doing.
Yep.
And then just to see, because I was going to watch it with my wife. I started watching the first episode of that How I Met Your Father, and I turned it
Oh,
off
I've heard it's terrible.
like 10 minutes into it.
And I loved
because
How I Met Your
Is it
Mother.
out on what is it out on?
Hulu.
It's on Hulu.
Uh,
The first 2 episodes are out.
I heard the only way it connects is like the apartment, basically, and like that's how
Yeah.
it's Ted's old apartment that they're renting or something.
does it use the same actress that played the mom?
No, it's all new
No,
cast.
It's
Not even
Hillary,
it's not about Ted or anybody. It's Hillary Duff's
Oh,
story.
Yeah, Hillary Duff. Yeah.
It's just in the same universe, I guess. I don't know. It looks like it's shitty. I have no interest. I'm an elitist. Fuck everybody else.
That's about it for
Your
me. It's
father
just those
by
TV
hoeing
shows.
around.
Fucking lot
Oh.
lizard.
I also did finish Cobra Kai seasons, so that was.
Dude, that is a show I want to get into, but we tried and we liked it, but other shit came out, and we gotta. At this point, it's like restart the first season.
I watched it. I watched it on a Saturday afternoon. I watched the entire season.
I like the direction it was going. I've heard it's gotten a little goofy over the past few seasons. But it's still
not
good.
necessarily goofy. It's just playing back to it's throwing back a lot of callbacks to.
I like that Martin
first
Kreese
movie.
is in it.
And also, since it's directed by Williams, I can't say his last name, but
Zepka.
yeah, and Danny LaRusso, fucking.
So let me ask, because I haven't watched it all. I'm going to assume that since Martin Kreese is in it, at some point, it's going to be Daniel and Blondie against Martin Kreese. Am I close?
Yeah, that's this season.
Ha! I could write these fucking shows.
But it's only gonna continue with 1 and 2 and a little bit of 3.
Well,
Because
I mean, it's a cash cow for Netflix right now. They bought it from
and
YouTube.
Ralph Macchio hated filming the second one and the third one.
Oh, the movies?
Yeah, because
Well, isn't that why he says they won't? There's the one character that he won't let in because he doesn't like. They've also talked shit about not letting. Like, why wouldn't you allow Jackie Chan to play Miyagi?
No.
And I'm just like, I'm not like I'm not invested in the lore, but like, he's the only Miyagi that's actually played Miyagi that's still alive. Like, why wouldn't you maybe try to include him in the universe?
But
Just
was he playing Miyagi's character, or was it just in a different?
I mean, it was Miyagi, but that was the one with Jaden Smith. But I mean,
Yeah.
you can
He
still
was a good Miyagi.
you can still make him follow the principles of the original Miyagi and use him because he's technically connected to the canon, but they are ignoring that remake canon completely.
They don't need to. They could reuse old footage of Miyagi, but make it an NFT.
There you go.
No, they can't do that because somebody's already NFT'd Miyagi, and they've lost the rights to him completely. My turn, I suppose. I too have been watching Me's of Rescues. What else? Venom 2.
How was that?
Not good.
It's all right. I mean,
I'm sorry. Any time you ever give Woody Harrelson hair, it's like
well,
Uncanny
also like
Valley.
throughout the movie, he's dressed like Max Payne for some reason. Like when you watch it, you'll know exactly like Max Payne from the first game, Max Payne, which I didn't fully understand. It just the CG wasn't great. The story that wasn't as funny as it just didn't work out as well. What else have I been watching? I've been watching a lot of Top Gear because basically that's like Top Gear and Grand Tour. A lot of
That's at least a good 20-minute conversation on the game stream.
well,
I know
love
you
Top
finished.
Gear.
Fuck, what is it called? God damn it,
I don't know.
Dexter, the new Dexter.
Did you?
Yes, I did.
I have not.
Not seen that
Yeah,
yet.
catch up.
So is it like done? It was just a limited series.
Which sucks because I thought it had feet to be more, but
They did
Oh
say
yeah,
it, though.
absolutely.
They did say
Absolutely.
it was limited.
Did they? Because I was the way they make it seem for quite a bit throughout the season is like it could definitely get sequel potential, and then they hard stop it, which kind of sucks. Because I was really digging the way it was directed. I was really digging like the way they took it in a different tone entirely. I would have loved that directing of Dexter to go on for a couple seasons, but they make it a definitive one season. Disappointingly. Yeah, we finished that. We're running through Letterkenny. We actually just got up to the newest season, so 10 seasons.
Wow.
They're only like 22-minute episodes. It's short, and you binge watch, you powerhouse through a fucking season a day. Because they're only I mean, the last 3 seasons have only been 8 episodes apiece. And I think they've only gone up to 9 or 10 episodes a season anyway, so they're not super long seasons. But yeah, I've been watching a lot of Letterkenny. Not a ton of movies. I've been playing God of War on PC, which I'm really enjoying.
Which looks amazing
Yeah,
on
it's
PC.
the game is
Oh.
still just fucking amazing.
Another thing that's been consuming my time is that pressure wash simulator.
Yeah,
Power
Power
Wash
Wash Simulator. Oh god, I'm 1% away from the fucking
The
treehouse.
cottage, the treehouse.
Yeah,
So if we're well, I guess I could bring another thing I've been watching, not by choice. My 2-year-old has discovered Blippi. Does anyone know who Blippi is?
I do.
I
love it.
I haven't done it.
So he's a dude who's probably a pedophile.
More than likely.
He's in his 30s. He dresses. There's parents out there that are probably like, I know what Blippi is. He dresses in like jeans, suspenders, colorful hat, and all that, whatever. Anyways, the guy who plays Blippi got in trouble
Jesus.
about a year or so back because before he was Blippi, he was like a troll personality on the internet. And for one of his video ideas, it was during the Harlem Shake fad, like where people were like
Okay.
dancing to it. Except at the end of the video, it quick cut to him shitting in his friend's mouth. You can find that video. If you
Oh,
look for
Blimpy.
it. So every time I see him singing kids songs on the TV, I think of that video, and I've showed it to my wife, and she's horrified.
That's
So
what our
yeah,
kid loves.
I've been watching. He says Slippy though, because he can't say Blippy. So
Well, I hope you enjoy more of that.
yeah, that's look up that video. When
I
you-
will. Yeah, I will when we're done. I'm probably going to talk about it on the podcast tomorrow.
That's awesome.
But yeah, without further ado, let's get into 2 of the greatest films of our generation.
Yeah, -1. So everybody's seen The Matrix. If you haven't, then you have no interest in this episode anyways. But basically, The Matrix is a movie that somewhat revolutionized sci-fi action, or at least reinvigorated sci-fi action films, because you did have them before this, but they were, most sci-fi was relegated to either a big franchise like a Star Trek, a Star Wars, or it was the
Space Odyssey,
the
usually.
or the horror spectrum, Event Horizon, those type, Aliens, those type things. Sci-fi, you had, the problem was this was the era of things getting sequeled to death. I think 97 is when Alien Resurrection came out, or Alien 3, one of those two. Like, it was a bit in a lull, and I, like, The Matrix is the movie that did kind of give audiences back of, like, hey, you know, this is a sci-fi movie. It was supposed to be nerdy because it was about computers, but it, you know, isn't. You know, it is, but it isn't. There's no technical knowledge. And it clicked with audience and blew up, and it had the ending credits of Rage Against the Machine and the zoom out. Do what they told ya!
Oh boy.
Yeah, so I guess I mean you should have seen this first film, but if you haven't, so the cast for the first one, obviously a younger Keanu Reeves, who was well known before The Matrix, but I would say this cemented him as like
he was no matter what going to be after The Matrix. He could have never worked again and still would be star status.
Yeah.
Or the Matrix trilogy.
Ironically, Will Smith was almost Neo, which
Yep, I was about
How
to
I was
say.
terrible
reading
would
about
that have
cast they were
been?
choosing
That would have been weird.
It would have been
with
terrible.
Val Kilmer as Morpheus.
yeah.
Ooh, even worse.
And
But can you
Sandra.
imagine Will Smith going through the fight choreography?
No.
I know, and I think that's part of why this worked well. Because
Or Val Kilmer at that in that fact.
Oh
and
Jesus!
Sandra Bullock as Trinity?
Well,
I would have much
let
preferred
me-
Sandra Bullock over fucking Carrie Ann Moss for Trinity, to be honest with you.
Well, let's go through the rest of the cast. So you, Laurence Fishburne as Morpheus.
He's the only Morpheus to me.
Bourne?
This
I don't
new
know how to
one's
say that
fucking
fucking-
stupid.
Carrie Ann Moss is Trinity, who I think after this movie just
Did nothing.
disappeared into a hole somewhere.
Well, she made probably 60 to 100 million off of the film franchise. So
yeah. Hugo Weaving as Agent Smith.
awesome in
who
everything he does, including Lord of the Rings.
Everything, yes.
Gave birth to a wonderful
Mr.
very
Anderson.
attractive daughter. By
Did
the
he
name
really?
of Samara Weaving.
Oh, is that Samara Weaving's his daughter? Is she really?
That's her dad. Yeah.
Oh my God! I want to be, dude. I would divorce Jen to be that son-in-law. I'll tell you that much right now. What?
But yeah, that's the main cast.
I didn't
That would be
realize
that
that-
guy who's
I
like,
didn't-
"Do you know my father? Let me introduce you to my father."
But that's the thing is, like, I would just want to get in so I can meet him.
Didn't
Like,
we
all right,
talk about
dude,
it,
you're
though?
Agent Smith. You're Lord of the Rings. Like, you're V for Vendetta, man.
Sorry, that's I
Your
got
Red
that wrong.
Skull.
That's his niece.
Yeah, his
not
Niece?
Yeah,
daughter.
we
There's no
covered that.
connection there,
We
though.
covered that during.
There's
Ready or
step bro
Not.
porn
Yeah,
going
but like
on
if
for
it's
those reasons.
if it's the daughter, like you know what I mean? Like it's like, oh, I'm definitely gonna get to meet Hugo Weaving. But the niece, it's like, yo, can I please meet your uncle?
Samara Weaving was in Ash vs. the Evil Dead.
Was she the girl?
Was she?
No
I think
kidding.
so. Yeah.
Huh.
Anyways,
I've watched that too. That's another show we should do.
That's only 3 seasons as well. I agree.
Mhm.
I love that show.
Did they finish it though?
Yeah.
So no, they didn't.
They just left it hanging.
They
I mean,
left,
it's
they left
done.
season 3 on a cliffhanger.
It's done, but yeah,
So I don't know why, but I got it on disc to digital on Vudu for $5, the entire collection
It's worth it.
of all 3
it's
seasons.
so good. And on my the one great thing when I worked at the airport and I went to Vegas for the first time, our company gave us $100, and I got to watch Evil Dead the musical out there in its last showing.
Nice. Was
It
it
was
any
amazing.
What
good?
the fuck was
Oh,
that?
it's so good.
I fucking wanted to see that one. Yeah.
So the Matrix came out in 1999, which is fucking crazy when you think about it.
Yeah.
And the
20
new
fucking 2 years
movie,
ago.
the Matrix I keep forgetting the name of the movie because I don't
So it's
fucking
so
care
it's,
about it.
Resurrection.
Matrix,
The Resurrection.
Matrix Revolution. Wait, what? No, Matrix Reloaded.
Reloaded.
Matrix Revolution, and then Matrix Horseshit Resurrection.
Why did they not call it rebooted?
Why didn't they call it? I'm gonna
That's
take a
what it
big
was almost.
steamy shit all over the first movie.
And we want to stress here that these movies
The
are
director's cut.
22 years apart. 22
And
years
this-
apart, right?
okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this. Okay, so the storyline
Not
of the
the movie
Matrix is
timeline.
essentially all these living beings are inside of a machine that is constructed by these robots who use them essentially as electricity to feed themselves in their machine world. So, what the red blue pill? Simple as this: blue pill, you stay in the machine, you don't know any different. Red pill, you wake up, you see what you truly are as a human, and you try to survive outside of the machine's basically hive world where they hold you in cocoons and feed off your electrons. So Neo is the one, they wake him up, and we'll just go over the whole franchise just real quick. They wake him up out of it. He ends up being the one that is going to fight the machines. Agent Smith is essentially, the agents are anti-malware virus. They're virus protection. That's that's what they are. So Agent Smith initially begins trying to hunt out the virus, which is Neo, because he's the infection that can manipulate the machine as well. So it's trying to snuff him out. First movie ends with basically Keanu Reeves is Thomas Anderson, who is his Matrix name. Neo is his programmer / real name. So when they wake him up, his name is then Neo. That is what he is known throughout the computer. Agent Smith murders Neo at the end of the first Matrix, or murders Thomas Anderson, thus creating Neo the One. So the 2 movies that follow after that basically follow the battles between Neo, Agent Smith, as well as they explore Zion and their weird fucking dancing and their stupid rituals and all the stupid shit that goes along with the Zion. Meanwhile, the whole time is the war that the machines are bringing down upon the humans to basically murder them and or re-enslave them for their power. The first movie, however, is very different than 2 and 3 in visual style, in action style, and everything else. In the first one, you get the action's different. It just is. It's much more. I mean, besides the bullet time, like when you think about it, the hand-to-hand combat isn't as well done as it is in Reloaded and number 3.
Mhm.
There is more cinematic action in Reloaded. Reloaded, in my opinion, is the best Matrix movie for action. It's much
I
like
agree.
people like to talk shit about the episodes 4, 5, and 6 of Star Wars, right? But those are the most episodes 1, 2, and 3. But those are the most action-heavy Star Wars movies made. Revenge of the Sith, or episode 2, is virtually nothing but lightsaber battles. So whether, you can not like the lore, you cannot like the direction they go, Episodes 1 through 3 have more action in them than the entire rest of the franchise. So Reloaded is that movie in this franchise that has the most action. It's the biggest spectacle. And then, in my opinion, for the excitement of the viewer, it's the best Matrix movie. However, the first is the best put together as far as story-wise. It's probably got the best acting. It's probably got the most grounded feel to, number 2 and 3 go off into that weird kind of Zion world. Number 1 mainly stays in the Matrix and on the ships. So that, to me, at least, there's much more of a grounded feel to the first one than the rest of them.
Yeah, number 1 is heavy on the lore. Number 2 is the action, and I would say number 3 went a little bit more heavy on the drama.
Well, it was a sloppy ending is the problem.
Yeah, it was. And then number 4 is fucking
threw
Sesame
shit at a
Street
wall,
meets
and that's
Power
what stuck.
Rangers. Done in a sci-fi world. It's what the fuck is going on?
Wait a second. My name's Thomas Anderson. I'm a video game
so
maker making a game about a character named Neo, who I actually am Neo when I'm in the game, but that's the game I'm making, reliving my life subconsciously over and over.
But I'm trying to make a new game called Binary, which only gets like a screen fucking shot for like 20 seconds.
So my problem with Resurrections is for one, the casting in the movie is fucking bonkers. You have Neil Patrick Harris, who's doing as good of a job as he can. And you have
he's a
Jonathan
good
Groff.
actor. Like, you can't hate on Neil Patrick Harris. Anything he does to his fullest. You got to give him that much.
You have Jonathan Groff, who I like him, but I think halfway through the shoot, he probably realized, like, I'm a bit in over my head. Like
I should have read the script instead of just seeing The Matrix.
Yeah. Instead of wanting to work with Keanu and them.
The dude from Candyman, I can't think of his name, but he actually does a good job.
He's not bad, but the Morpheus character in general is shit in this movie.
No, also, why do you think Laurence didn't come back?
Because he read the script.
I think this is...
Well, I also think this movie probably didn't pay.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't. I mean, on a $190 million budget, somebody better been getting some fucking payday, though.
I'm sure Keanu got
like
a check.
Here's the thing. He's in the John Wick franchise now. Like, the last John Wick movie ended intricately where him and Keanu Reeves are going to team up to fight the fucking powers that be. So, like, he doesn't need the money, right? He read that Morpheus is in the movie for, like, 10 minutes of film time, and he's essentially a background character. Like, literally, the only reason Morpheus is introduced is through the convoluted way of basically Thomas Anderson programming Morpheus into the game Matrix to be able to be the one that sends the message to wake him up, because that's what he's remembering subconsciously from the life before that they're erasing with this movie. It's so goddamn convoluted and just it's an enigma wrapped in a mystery wrapped in a goddamn coconut egg.
So the Morpheus character is actually just a program. It's not really Morpheus because he died.
Yeah, exactly. It's not Morpheus. It's a program simulated to be Morpheus by the best that his scrambled memory can create.
And ironically, it's funny because that's the one story in Resurrections that could have been really well done, but that made the most sense for a time jump.
I'm also going to say,
everyone else made no sense.
Isn't it a little racist for Keanu Reeves to only let Morpheus be a black guy? Like, even his subconscious is like, he's got to be a black guy.
So I, aside from a fucking mountain of criticisms, I did not know the answer to this question. Maybe because I watched this movie twice. Once while I was not sick, and a second time when I was
in
really
a fever dream.
COVID, and it got worse.
Yes.
God, yes.
Like, you could have been drunk off your ass and still been like, I just don't know about this movie. I don't get it.
Is the Matrix they're in this movie a different, like?
Yes. So here's what it is, right? So the Matrix, as you knew it prior, had been wiped clean. Mm-hmm. Neil Patrick Harris, as the analyst, created this new Matrix, knowing that the true power now from the Matrix comes from the combination of Neo and Trinity, and if they were ever to get together, they would be able to basically take over because they're the true power. That's why he changed their physical appearances to the outset. That's why he kept them separate, because once they come together, then they become collectively the one. So the new Matrix you see in this movie is zero connected to the last Matrix. It's an entirely new Matrix made by Neil Patrick Harris's character. as a machine wanting to control. He's essentially the new architect. The thing about it is the whole thing about this new Matrix is he figured that if you keep everybody in the despair and fear method, you control them easier. So that's how he's able to control them all as bots, is he's kept them at a certain temperament to be controllable. He learned as a program from the old Matrix's failings, but the loophole that he made for himself in this Matrix was he knew that if Trinity and Neo ever got back together, they could then take over this new Matrix. That's why he kept them separate.
Which is funny though, because he kind of had to keep them close to each other
in order to power the Matrix.
Yeah, in order to power.
So
they couldn't get
together.
Together.
That's why Neo. So Thomas Anderson in this new Matrix is nothing more than a bot. However, real Neo has connections to it subconsciously from within the Matrix, and the game that Thomas Anderson is programming is the first Matrix story, the loop that he is piecing together slowly from his brain matter. And that's the whole idea of him making that game is to try to wake himself up from this current Matrix. That's why Morpheus is just a program, because Neo that's all fucked up is sending those waves to Thomas Anderson to create the game to wake him up, telling him this is your story. It is literally just layers of bullshit. The story could have been simple if they would have talked about the organic connection between Thomas Anderson and what is real life Neo. But they just hide it behind the stupidity of this fucking movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't even mean plot wise. Like what I was trying to say is, if it's a different Matrix, what happens to those people that were already plugged in? Do you think they just fucking killed them all? Because like
their memories are rebooted.
At
least that's what they leave you to think.
So what I was gonna say is, when I was thinking of them resetting the Matrix in my head, I was essentially thinking of like Dark City, of like, we killed
retooling it,
we started again, you're somewhere else. And actually watching this movie a second time, unfortunately, and rewatching the first Matrix, it's not a Matrix movie, but my hot take is I think that Dark City is a better Matrix movie than any of the Matrixes. Like I think the concept is, maybe it's because Dark City is like very like,
well, there's also a lot of mystery around Dark City. They don't explain at all the surrounding universe or where they are or what dimensional level.
That's also why I kind of like it, and why the later Matrix movies kind of lose me, because like I don't like, I guess it's just my preference. I like show don't tell. Like I don't want to know so much of what the programs are thinking.
Well, I mean, you could argue that the end of Matrix 3 leaves that, where they show essentially, and they do connect that in Resurrections, where they show them piecing him back together. But Keanu Reeves' body is dragged off by the machines at the end of the last Matrix movie, but it's still glowing with energy. So they do leave it off with a like, is he dead? Is he part of the machine? What is he? I also realized while watching this that this movie is it's. Hold on a second. I'm gonna take a quick break here. Oh no, never mind. Never mind. I saw the wrong bar. It wasn't going up, and I was like, my audio's not being recorded. If you've ever seen the movie, the Will Smith movie, the superhero, the like
Hitch.
Hancock.
Fuck.
If you've ever watched Hancock, right? It's a story about two deities that when they come together, they become mortal, right? It's the exact opposite for Matrix the Resurrections. Two entities that, while separate, are weaker and come together and become stronger as one. They stole the story. Not only literally, yeah, right. They rebelled. Literally, they stole the shit from the first movie for half of this film, and then stole ideas from other movies for the other half of the film. This movie is pure shit. The fact that the director says we didn't have a plan for this movie tells me it's pure shit, that it's nothing but a fucking cash grab. And I will not consider this part of the Matrix. As far as I'm concerned, there's only 3 Matrix movies. There's no reason to consider this part of it. They literally set it up for a sequel that will never happen, because everybody shin on it when it came out, and then they go, well, we don't have any plans to make a sequel anyways. This was a one-off. And it's like, no, you flopped. You spent $100 million on a piece of shit movie. You trusted a piece of shit writer-director, and she led you astray. It's garbage. You could tell which one of the Wachowski sisters has a cinematic eye. It's not the fucking one that made this movie. Because for one thing, the CG is shit. The camera angles are shit. Even the ones where they redo scenes from the first movie, it looks shittier.
It's not well done. And this movie did one thing that I don't like, and it's when Smith is talking to
Smith
Neo
2.0.
in the office, and
Thomas.
he's about the game. I felt there was a bit of truth to that whole conversation where he's like,
That's
WB
why
is
they
going to
wrote it
make
in there.
another one whether we don't want one or not. You know what I mean? So we're going to make another one, and we'd rather have you be a part of it. That whole conversation, I'm like,
That was probably real
I
life.
hate that shit. Yeah, I
Hey,
imagine
maybe
that was
they
the reality
maybe they
of it.
purposely made a shitty movie so it kills the franchise. Maybe they're like, we don't want to continue, so we're gonna make sure. But you know what'll happen? They'll just reboot it.
Yeah.
Did anybody notice in the train when the bots were taking over the people in the train, there was people with fucking face masks with the Matrix code running on it?
No, I didn't know that.
And this is supposed to be like way in the future, like nothing to do with pandemic, or it didn't have to fucking bring it because
Well, so
It's the joke we made about Call of Duty Warzone. Why isn't everybody running around with masks? Because it's 44, you fucking idiot. Like it's in the future in a goddamn. Literally, it's a robot world, right? It's not even the real fucking world. And the goddamn programs are wearing masks, worrying about COVID. If that isn't subliminal fucking messaging, I don't know what is. Like, it's a made up fucking computer world. There's no such thing as fucking COVID. They're digital. Why is that in the movie?
and it's only during that train scene I believe that I saw
The real life
two or three people.
But the real life humans are used as goddamn light bulbs. How is COVID a thing? Why is that in it? Oh yeah, that's right, because we gotta shove it down their fucking throats, right? It makes no sense.
So you saying it being in the future also kind of made me chuckle because like the original Matrix movie came out 22 years ago.
It looks better.
It does.
Obviously, there's like the fad of like them being like techno goths back in 1999.
Yeah, which was a weird, like everybody
so-
listened to the Prodigy type look.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
so tell me why 22 years later in this movie, these people that go get jacked into the Matrix again are still dressing like these fucking clowns.
The tattered, I
Like does
I
that,
know.
does that
I was
make
like,
sense
what
to you?
the
Like I don't,
Fuck.
like we're going to the Rancid concert, right? Like what program era is this supposed to be? Like are they running Windows 95 only? Did the analysts get a bootleg copy? Like what in the fuck is going on?
just like it just doesn't make sense to me that it's in their universe in the future. It's what, like 40 years later,
60.
60 years later.
60 years. Or the only reason I could think is that maybe because they were so obsessed with Neo back then, but who's like, I'm gonna go back to the Matrix. Also, I want a dumbass trench coat. I want like weird hair that sticks to the side of my
the way
fucking face.
they would explain that in this movie is it's all part of the loops that are in the background that they're trying to track.
That's so dumb.
It's all part of the same actions going over and over because the story is, it's part myth, part real.
Well,
So they could go that route and argue that.
As a programmer,
Also,
they don't want to deviate too far from anything that they don't have to do. They want to take whatever they can and just reuse.
So they are using Windows 95.
the stormtrooper syndrome in this movie
Mhm.
is missing, but like a movie from 22 years ago, you kind of it like now you have to either film it in a way that's doesn't make me feel like this movie's a piece of shit, or just do it better, because I don't know, it doesn't quite work. Like
All right.
the
Perfect.
Bugs character who should have died a million times.
Perfect example, the very beginning of the movie. When you remember the original agents in the original Matrix is, oh, fuck, don't mess with them. Like, you see them, you run.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Very beginning of this movie, Bugs, the chick, they're all of them are firing at him or her, and she simply parkours over the car. And not a single bullet hits her. Like, literally, they took the strength away from agents. They made them nothing. Like,
Mhm.
Why are they talking to the cops like you had your chance? Because there's no program. There's no like, hi, I'm a virus defender, and it's like I'm a virus eater in a computer. So why would those two programs ever communicate?
Mm-hmm.
If it's like this movie tried to blend like they tried to make the bots more human than anything, but it doesn't make sense because they're all still programs.
It doesn't. Yeah.
So there's no reason for a program to communicate with another program as though it's human. There's no reason for shitty back and forth. There's no reason for chit chat. It makes no sense. That's why Morpheus in the when he was in the Matrix was much different in the original movies than Morpheus outside of the Matrix. Morpheus in the Matrix was cold, he was calculated, he talked like a fucking bot. But outside he was a real person, and he did it on purpose to blend, although they couldn't blend. But that was the thing, is this Morpheus is only a bot. There is no humanity, even when they pull him out of the Matrix, he's that symbiont, whatever the fuck it is.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like they've stripped all humanity you could from the original concept of this movie to the point of there's no characters you really care about. They flip scripts to the point of it no longer makes sense as far as Neo being a broken down piece of shit and Trinity being Neo at this point, being able to fly and everything. Like, it just doesn't make sense. And they set it up in such a way where you would go, okay, maybe the sequel will tell me what actually is fucking going to happen now because this is super open-ended. And now there's no sequel plan. So it's like, you made a shitty movie. You made a sequel 22 years after the original that is in every measurable way worse, whether it be acting or story or writing or CG. And it had a huge budget, so there's no excuses there. There is no excuse of like, oh, this was a pandemic movie. It was a lower budget. Invisible Man, as much as I hate that film, was made on a $9 million budget and made $200 million gross via DVD, VOD, and theater tickets that were there. I don't want to hear budget. So the issues with this movie come from it being a cash grab.
It was, yeah. And you can... I tried to give the movie a chance when I started, because I've read the reviews prior to watching the movie, and I was like, let me give it a chance. And if you watch the first three Matrixes, even the last one of the three of the trilogy.
Here's the thing, it's not a terrible movie, it's just they focus too much on Zion and not enough about In the Matrix, and really you only get one In the Matrix cool scene with Neo, and that's the end fight with Smith. That's the problem with the third one, is it's action-packed, it's just not the action that you really kind of want to see.
It's not even that. It's, if you watch the first three, they have a certain visual quality to them.
Which from like the first one's a little different. It's
when you're watching the Matrix, they have a feel to them, that they're the green tones, the way people talk.
Well, see, that's the first one reminded me more of the blue tone that you guys remember the Matthew Broderick Godzilla.
Oh yeah.
So the Matrix, the first Matrix to me has a much more cinematographic feel of that movie than the other two, because the other two is when they go with that full green tone, and it's also like they're definitely using either higher grade cameras or something, or because it's really cleaner than the first. There's like no film grain, so maybe they went over to digital. I don't know, but those two are definitely the two end caps are definitely the most unison.
That's what I read about the first Matrix, how they used the blue and green to differentiate between being in the Matrix and being out in the real world. Mm-hmm. So in the Matrix, it was more green. Yeah. And they tried to pull out as much blue as they can because they felt blue was more warm and colorful to show that they were actually real.
Okay.
But to the point, you can feel that watching the first three movies. You can feel that, you can sense that. There's a good feel.
It's got the fantasy to it. There's a fantasy feel to it.
And then where this movie I noticed ruined was when one of the siblings tried to recreate a scene from the very first movie, and you just watching it, you're like, what the fuck is this? Yeah,
the Trinity scene
when you meet Trinity. Yeah. Even if it wasn't Trinity in there, even if they were trying to pull the story in and tell you what's going on, why this is happening, the way it looked versus the way it originally looked was just
also
it was bullshit.
The soundtrack, like, you remember how strong the first movie soundtrack was in theaters when the punches hit and connected?
Yes.
Gone. That whole sound effect of what, that fucking real sharp sound, gone. Like, everything that made the Matrix good, even the other the 2 and 3, is not in this movie. It's just not there. Like the first one, like it's as simple as this. Name me your favorite scene of Resurrection.
Credits.
I guess I'm gonna say when the bots attacked and Neo pushed them.
That was more like a World War Z type thing, chasing.
Yeah.
them, trying to
That
run.
was a cool scene.
But
Yeah,
in
on a
Matrix
motorcycle.
1, the subway fight with Agent Smith, the end fight when Neo takes over Agent Smith, the fight between Morpheus and Agent Smith, when they capture Morpheus and Neo rescues Agent Smith,
Yep.
or rescues Morpheus. Like, there's so many awesome... Once you get past the very beginning when they unplug him, the first Matrix doesn't stop. You got the martial arts scene with Morpheus. You've got the training scenes. You've got the lobby scene with the guns and the fucking hallway exploding and the pillars and concrete. None of that. I mean, that was spectacle. This new one is just, for a $200 million budget, I mean, it looked and felt like shit.
Talking about the music for the original Matrix.
There's a good soundtrack.
Yeah, but there's this one part though, when Trinity tells Neo, you were the one, I love you, blah blah, you can't die.
When
he comes back to life,
strapped in the thing.
Yeah, and when he comes back to life and he starts fighting this, Smith, the music that they're playing in that fight scene, I'm like, why? It was like a Disney fucking comical action movie.
Yeah, it was like the heroes rising up for the day.
He's fighting with one arm. It's like, why did they choose that music? That was one of my. That's the only thing I found really bad about it.
You know what? The way I took that, because I know exactly what you're talking about. I feel like that was almost like an homage to like the old school Superman movies.
Yeah,
where it always like when Christopher Reeve came back to save the day, it always had that kind of That's the way I took it.
I don't know. That's the only part about the entire movie that I did not like, but I did enjoy. Oh no, that and the kid, the bald kid, that was the director's.
Yeah, with the oats and the
mouse.
The spoon.
Oh, there is no spoon.
There is no spoon. You have to realize.
And also, by the way, what a bitch the fucking Oracle is when it's like, don't worry about the vase, and he knocks it over. He's like, how did you know? And she's like, what's really going to boggle the mind is if you would have done it if I wouldn't have said anything. Why is the program smoking? It doesn't have lungs.
Why is the program have a cookie?
And then she's like, you'll feel better if you take a bite. And he eats it and he's like, and Morpheus is like, do you feel better? And he's like, I do. Like, that was a good fucking cookie. Like, he's all refreshed. Like, he ate it, like he grabbed a coin that's in its fucking Mario.
Sadly, I think that's what actually killed her was the actual smoking.
Probably. Literally, the character had to light up because the actress couldn't go an hour without a cigarette. My character smokes. Why does your character smoke? You're an Oracle in a program. Because I smoke, motherfucker. That's the behind the scenes. Yeah, she died. They had to replace her. And then I think cleverly, why do you look different? Well, I'm a program, dear. Have a cookie. Like, fuck out of here.
I have to hide.
A bitch died. Emphysema. I don't know that for sure.
I wanted to ask you guys a question relating to this movie, but about cinema in general. Because like Matt said, the mid to late 90s, even into 2000s, like, the 80s, you had your new shit coming out. And then like 90s, 2000s, you had sequels. And then it became remakes, remake this, remake that. And now it seems to be a running theme of, we're not going to do a remake, but we're going to do a rehash, and it's going to be a sequel. Like
The Thing.
Best example is the Star Wars movies, or
The Thing.
The Thing, yeah.
or Halloween, or Halloween 2018, where they're redoing certain scenes in the first movie, and quite literally this movie where they're showing scenes from the first movie.
Yeah.
And it seems to be a running theme where Hollywood is trying to pull in some nostalgia to get like the older viewers, but then saying like, fuck you, this is for like that wider audience. And like, I don't know how I feel about it. Like, I thought when I first saw Star Wars, what the fuck is the name of the first
Force Awakens
trilogy movie? Yeah, The Force Awakens. I was like, oh, that's interesting. They're like redoing legacy scenes. And then I saw Halloween 2018, and I thought it was cool, like the Laurie Strode falls off the building and rolls away, and but then at the same time I'm like, why why do we need to do that? Like, is it to be like, oh my god, it's like the original movie? Like, who is that for exactly? Because like the horror,
The
the couple
grandparents
like,
that are taking their kids.
well, no,
Taking
not
them.
even like a lot of like the horror community I follow on like on Facebook. None of them mention like, oh, dude, it's cool that scene they redid in Halloween. Like, no one talks about that.
I,
So I don't know.
I think
I
the
don't know who they're
problem.
pulling that nostalgia for.
I
Like,
think the problem when it comes, it depends on the franchise. Like with Halloween, I feel like if they didn't do something like that, they're gonna face backlash. Like you're gonna have the critics who are gonna say, well, this is supposed to be a sequel with very little connection to the original. The only thing that we have to tie back to the original ones is the characters, basically. That, so how do you continue a story if you don't remind us of what the story is? I could understand that criticism,
Yeah.
but it really depends on the franchise. Like, it makes sense for Matrix Resolution to tie back to the first one and that story because it's a direct sequel. However, it didn't. It tied back to it by basically saying, well, this was what happened, but everything that's happening now is completely different. It's a completely different Matrix run by a completely different program. Therefore, everything that happened in the past is nothing more than memories inside of Neo and Trinity's minds that only they can unlock. So it's just a very dumb roundabout way of essentially trying to rebirth an idea while at the same time far too heavily leaning off of it to make a movie in the first place.
Yeah.
Also
Well,
going to
go ahead.
I was gonna say, also going to what you said earlier about the Hancock borrowing shit.
Yeah.
Even at the end of this one, the fucking building breaks open, kind of like Hancock destroying the building.
Yep.
And Trinity and Neo
you guys are
fucking
gonna
show
make me
up.
have to rewatch Hancock now.
When
they
you do,
start
you'll
fucking-
be really annoyed because it's essentially Hancock but in reverse.
Yeah. So and they start fucking with Neil Patrick Harris's character, killing him, bring him back to life, killing him, bring him back to life. And Neo's just chilling there watching her do all that. He's like, hey, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I really hated Neo in this new one. I really did not like the direction they took the character. To me, the character never gets redeemed. He's just kind of a pile of shit, and then literally Trinity becomes Neo. And
Yeah,
I
he
can't.
seemed dumber
I
in this
can't-
movie.
Yeah.
because of the director's outspokenness and saying that it was integral in writing the script, I can't see that as anything more than a trans director writer putting her influence into it, as in, I went through this transition, so these characters are going through a transition. And I frankly, I don't care if you do that in a movie that has no ties to a lore or a storyline I care about, but I don't want your bullshit inside of a franchise that I care about. Like, this movie is non-existent to me. It's disconnected from the original three. I will never watch this movie again.
Yeah, no, I will never either. And it's made worse by the and I was talking to Anthony about this, the fucking flashbacks. Like,
Ugh. That are not as well done
put it
as
this
the
way.
original source material.
yeah. If you took the flashbacks out, you still wouldn't fucking know who the characters are supposed to be. Like, when they introduced Agent, was like Smith, they had to flash back to Smith's face.
Yes.
Immediately.
Yes.
He's like, what did you say? What did you say when we first met? It's like an FBI interrogation.
Yeah, and I'm like,
And then-
what
and then
the
he's
fuck are
in
they
there with
No,
doing?
but I'll go further. Flashbacks are one thing; they could be annoying. Showing me the first movie on a screen in the back of the scene I'm watching,
Mm.
Yeah.
it's like
Oh.
flicking someone on the forehead. Like, do you remember that scene? It's like, the fuck are you doing?
It was treating you like you were really stupid, and they wanted you to here, we're gonna explain
Remember?
it to you.
You remember Matrix? Remember? Yeah.
We're gonna cut out the RE, which said member.
Yeah, it was it's like, I don't know, like, if you want to make a movie for a new audience and people moving forward, I get that. And there are ways to throw in little bits of where it came from, respectively. There are ways to do it. And this movie vomits that. Like, it vomits it so hard, and it just makes the movie worse.
Do you think-
it's not done right?
Do you think with Neo, when he has these flashbacks and stuff, would it be better like with him taking the blue pill and he wakes up in these cold sweats? Would it have been better as a dream, like in the Matrix, like he's having those dreams, or would it?
No,
Like,
if,
how
if
would
they
they
were
done?
if they were going to go the method, they should have. So if you're going to keep him developing the game, right? Why wouldn't you take him developing the game as something driving his current form into madness? Because the more and more he builds the game, the more and more he unlocks his memory subconsciously, right? So why wouldn't you have it all be a character study on Neo as a bot living in this, waking himself up? Why are we using characters
while
like
still taking those blue pills and shit?
Yes, why are we using a character like Bugs and fake Morpheus and shit to bring him out? Why wasn't this a story of Neo being retrapped in something that he once had full control over, and him rediscovering who he is and waking himself up to becoming the true one? And instead it went a completely different direction.
I do. Okay, I'm going to say this thing about the whole Bugs character, about how she met Neo. I do kind of like that, where he was trying to prove that, and he takes the walk out.
Yeah.
I do kind of like that, but it's just, I to start out with Bugs at the beginning, Bugs was just like a program stalker, or like a weird stalker looking over the same scene.
Basically, well, she was trying. Well, yeah, she was trying to find the loop to identify exactly that storyline.
Yeah,
because that was the way to track to Neo and wake him up from his entrapment. So the whole concept was, he is the one who's putting those memories and those loops out there because he's connected to the machine. If you find them, you can find him, was, I think, the whole concept.
I know we talk about waking up, but like Neo's character, I feel like never woke up in this fucking movie.
No, he just remains Thomas Anderson.
He just chilled through the whole thing.
And it sucks because then you get to Trinity, who woke up
in the goddamn
Neo movie.
Who is Neo?
Like, I was like, what is going on?
If they did reverse it, the characters, he didn't even come nearly as close as the Trinity character from the original Matrix. Neo playing.
No, he basically plays sad Keanu the whole fucking movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, he never wakes
up.
He
was Bill.
And you know
he
what?
Was Bill and Ted. He was Ted S. Preston.
No, Ted at least was funny. He was just a fucking bummer in this movie.
I'm gonna say, if you wanted Trinity to wake up that way, if this movie ended the same way, you could have explained that. You could have been like, when they were rebuilding him, something crossed over, just like with Smith. In part 2, Smith's like, something between me and you transferred. And Ian Smith tries to explain it himself, and it made sense in that movie.
I will say, if they were planning a sequel, the smart money would be Neo waking up in the sequel and being too machine and becoming the villain. To where if you're going to make Trinity Neo, then make Neo the villain. Make him the new Agent Smith that is now controlling the machine, but for his own dark reasons. Because he's now, in the real world, more cyborg than he is human. Why couldn't you do that? Why couldn't you have him be the villain in the next one, where it's they escape the Matrix together, and Neo realizes that that's his home and what he wants to do?
Or they're still in the Matrix, and that's why Trinity has the power. And then in the real world, the other
She's got no legs.
Neo's actually in. Neo is actually by himself, and that's the way he's dealing with the loss of Trinity and everything, is by creating this new Trinity in his other Matrix.
Or there's another analyst that it's all just a Matrix inside of a Matrix inside of a Matrix, that he thinks he escaped with Trinity, but he didn't. And it goes further and further until it's a snow globe inside of an autistic boy's mind.
I was gonna say it's a snow globe, man.
It's gonna be Matrix Inception. That's gonna be the next
fucking beat me to it.
Is the top still spinning at the end of this movie? I didn't remember.
If I had to summarize this movie, I would say that it feels like bad Matrix fan fiction.
It's like something you would read on a shitty Reddit board.
Yeah,
you never know. Maybe that's because they didn't have an idea what to do. Maybe that's what they did. They just looked on a fan fiction, writing, and pulled whatever they thought.
That's such a shitty excuse, though. Like, you built this goddamn world.
You built this city on rock and roll, and then you started to play smooth jazz.
You built this world, and you can't. You could have went into this movie not even using Neo and Trinity. They could have kept the concept of Neo and Trinity powering the Matrix, and new characters discovering that for themselves. Like, that could have been at the end of the movie. Like, they're powering the fucking Matrix, and that's how you could have introduced them.
I look at it as if Lana Wachowski, I don't know how to say her name. If the meta joke in here of, if she didn't make this film, Warner Brothers was gonna make this film.
Should have let him.
Yeah, let him. and they would be known as the people that fucked up the thing you made. Now
Instead of you.
you're the person who fucking shit all over the basketball you brought to play with your boys, and they're like, well, you like she ruined her legacy when she
Or-
could have let WB ruin it, and people
Or the
would be
friend
like, it's
that Blippi
never
had
gonna
on the
be as
floor of
good
the
as
bathroom.
like. And that's why the meta part of this movie pisses me off, because it's like either you thought that was gonna work and it was gonna be cool, but it didn't. It just made you look like, it made the writers look like fucking idiots.
Yeah.
It's all wrapped up. It's just bullshit. It's the same story they told 22 years ago, and they just told it worse.
Yeah.
And then they added other
And-
bullshit to it.
And I saw a lot of reviews about the actors. This is one of those movies, like I feel in like Resident Evil Raccoon City. If you watched it and you
I
shot
haven't.
yourself, you're the lucky one. That movie's horrible.
Here's a question. Oh, go ahead, finish up. I'm sorry.
I feel that the actors in this movie did the best they could with what they got. The actors, I feel, were not entirely
Okay.
the problem. It's definitely the script. This movie is such a shitty story.
Well, can you,
Entire-
can
That
you
was my
just imagine
question.
being one of those younger actors and be like, they're making another Matrix movie and
Yeah.
I'm casted in
See,
it?
I do have a problem with, and that's, I will agree, but this is where I have the problem with the actors from the original that are in it. Like, they treat Carrie-Anne Moss like she's, like, I mean, who the fuck gave shit about her in the originals? Anybody?
I didn't find her attractive.
Okay, tell me anybody truly cared about Trinity as a character, besides when Neo was saving her and doing cool shit to do so. I mean, you literally took the side character that nobody really gave a shit about other than the stupid love story you made in the movie, and you made her front and center, and as far as the old school characters, and then you introduce all these new ones into a... Essentially, the other problem with this is essentially the first movie in a new trilogy that's never going to be made. It doesn't make sense. There's no continuation. So it's like you've shit on the original to make this cash grab that didn't do well and fucked up the storyline by now having it continue into nothing. It makes no sense what they did.
It was it was a movie of introductions. It's like, remember Smith? This is Smith.
Yeah.
Remember
He's
Zion?
different now,
Here's
but it's
Zion.
surely still Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's Zion now. Goodbye, Zion. Remember this
Will
character?
Smith's
Here they
wife,
are.
she's still a bad actress.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even worse metal band singer.
Dude, this
No.
whole movie sucked, but when it got to when you see her again, it was like the movie just slammed the brakes.
Yep.
And that whole scene with just her dialogue felt like 5 hours.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't need to see wrinkly Jada Pinkett Smith. I just didn't.
That makeup was fucking shit too.
It really was.
It was bad.
Everything
Yeah,
about
that
this was
that
shit.
was shit.
I love Creepshow, but it was on par with Creepshow makeup.
I'd argue Creepshow
Yeah.
does better because it's supposed to be grotesque looking.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, all right. Let's
I
do
will
it
say this movie has one good scene. One.
Okay.
And it's when they ask Neo, hey, can you fly still? And he tries and gets nowhere.
No.
Yeah,
Still can't.
Yeah, that
I
was pretty
can't.
funny. I'll give you that. All right, let's do it this way. Let's do stars for the first one first. I'll go first. I love it. First Matrix is one of my favorites. To this, I'm going to give it a 5. I think it deserves a lot of credit for kind of reinvigorating sci-fi, even though we're also now not in a lull, but as far as movies, it's a lull. It's more TV sci-fi you're getting nowadays than movies.
Okay, here's what we're gonna do though. I just want to cut you off. We're all gonna say what we think the first one is, and when we say the second one, we're all gonna say our score at the same time.
Okay,
I
I'm down.
I just want to do an experiment.
I'm
Okay.
down.
I'll go for Matrix 1, 5. I don't feel like I need to explain that.
Good shit. It's the
It
Matrix.
truly was a movie that changed the science fiction genre. And if you think about it, there's no other IP that has like captured the lightning in a bottle that the original Matrix did for its time.
Mhm.
There's no other film.
I'll agree. I mean, unless you want to consider like the Lord of the Rings, but it wasn't. It's different. That's
Yeah,
fantasy, you know.
That's fantasy, yeah. I would say that's fantasy. But I understand, yeah, it's Matrix is the Lord of the Rings for sci-fi.
Yeah, for action sci-fi and non. I mean, you got to remember the Hobbit books and everything were kids books to a certain degree. Now they're a little bit more complicated, but they weren't heavy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The Matrix
Well, the
is that
first
kind of
Lord of the
rated
Rings
R.
movie is also 20 years old, right? I think.
90. I want to say 99 as well.
Which one?
Lord of the Rings.
Dude, we're all old. Lord of the Rings over 20, Matrix over 20, Xbox over 20.
Holy shit.
Now owning Activision.
Dude, I don't know if that's going to go through. A lot of people are like, that's a monopoly.
It'll go through.
I know.
If Verizon can purchase Sprint, they can purchase that. They're a developer. It doesn't
It'll
matter.
go through, and your Game Pass is gonna go up. It's gonna.
Oh, by the way, go on Xbox's market. They've got a shit ton of backwards compatible games on sale. All the 360 stuff's on sale. I got Manhunt for $9. I got Binary Domain, which is 60 frames a second for $9. Bionic Commando 2, Killer is Dead. I mean, that Conan game I would talk about, that's on sale for $9. Just great sale going on. I bought a bunch of them this weekend.
But Giovanni, what's your for the first Matrix?
First one is a solid 5. I love that fucking movie. And I had an argument with my buddy over this. He's like, well, what about Dune? I'm like, that's a space opera, you fucking idiot. And it was done before. It's Star Trek and Star Wars. It's in that vein. It's not in this vein. I was like, get your fucking sci-fi movies correct. I'm talking to you. I know you watch this. I won't say your name, but I know you do. It's a 5.
Oh, God. First things first, 2001 for Fellowship of the Ring. And then when I first watched this movie, it is a 5. Watching it now, just because of a couple of things, it is a 4.5, but it is a 5 for when I first watched it, and it's still good.
All right, now everyone just say their rating for the Matrix Resurrections.
On 3?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
0.
You gave it a
You can rate it a 0?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, then a 0. I didn't know that was a choice.
On this one, I'm just like the Shed. I'm going 0.
You could have said half.
I didn't know you can go as low as 0.
Like I'm not even lying. Out of since we've started this podcast, this is the worst written, executed CGI direction. This is the worst movie we've reviewed for me personally.
I would
Here's
agree.
my question too.
Yeah.
The Neo character and the Neo character that everybody sees, why would they make it somebody completely different and smaller when they use really shitty fucking makeup for Niobe's fucking character?
Talk about old man Neo.
Yeah, why didn't they just do the same thing for Neo?
There isn't. Yeah. Well, there is an explanation.
There is.
Nairobi is aged, and the reason why they changed Neo's appearance is so Trinity, while she's out in the wild in the Matrix, can't identify him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's the only reason.
Why did they just make him look 60 years older?
Because he's not. Because he's not. But that's what you missed. Because this movie's literally wrapped in fucking stupidity.
Well, no, he's
cybernetic. So for 20 years, he's only aged 20 years.
20 years.
Yeah.
I also like how Keanu is like, I'll do the movie, but I don't really want to cut the hair and beard.
Yeah, I need to do that. No, I'm not gonna I gotta film John Wick in fucking March, people. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
That's making me more money than this shit pile.
John Wick 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah, Morpheus and I are in a good movie. Fuck this piece of shit. All right. Next week's live episode.
Yes.
We'll be doing the Warriors and Judgment Night.
Yes.
I've never seen Judgment Night, but I'm
it's gonna be so good. It's so good. You're gonna love it.
Like it.
You'll love it. It's the Warriors for lily white pieces of shit from the suburbs. Except for minus Cuba Gooding Jr., but he's I haven't seen Judgment Night in a while, but I know I love it. I've seen it quite a few times. That's next week live episode. Are we doing that Friday or Saturday?
That's Friday. I thought you guys said Friday.
Well, it's up to you guys. I'm asking now.
My kid's birthday.
We'll be
Saturday,
right. We'll be right back.
Friday.
We'll be doing so next Friday, which is the 29th of January, will be the live episode. Right? Isn't it? Today's the 22nd?
No, 28th.
28th.
Oh, it's 12:01, so it just went over. So yeah, the 28th.
Is it?
So Friday the 28th around 8:00, we'll be starting the live episode. That'll be the Warriors and Judgment Night, and then we'll start filling we gotta start filling off air the next month. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Everybody have a wonderful night. Thank you for watching. Check out all the other content we got on the channel. Love you. I'm just gonna sign off like the
Bye.
stream. Bye, guys.